Hi, this is Mac with MacSarah29 again, and I have here my EB4 G3, and I've already done a review on it as a buggy, and I don't know if you've noticed on my YouTube channel I posted some videos. At first I had just these wheels and tires on it with the buggy body with the wing still, called it a truggy, and I did a conversion to make it into a monster truck. I bought this Proline Chevy body. It's Chevy Silverado. This is for the older E-Max and T-Max. They still have them available through Tower, and it fits pretty well. And as a monster truck, I put the MT4 G3 front bumper and wheelie bar. This is a T-Bone Racing rear bumper for a E-Firestorm that I drilled some new holes and put it on the back. So basically I just wanted to go over some of the stuff that I've experienced with this after converting it to a monster truck. So first I'll just kind of cut to the chase. If you're considering buying this buggy and then converting it to a monster truck because you want a monster truck, I'd say I would suggest not doing it. It's a little bit less expensive route, but it's not as durable in this form as the MT4 is, and it's not as durable as this is as a buggy, this particular truck. So I'll tell you some of the things I've experienced. So first of all, I know on the MT4 people have talked about breaking these outer hinge pins here. They're the I think they're like 3mm hinge pins, and something like that. Anyway, breaking those on the MT4. I've never broken them on the MT4, though I had my previous one for like a year. But on this one here, I never broke them as the buggy, but I broke several of them as the truck. So then it caused me a lot of extra expense, I think, because this is what would happen. I'd break that, and then it would break my A-arm because it would snap and put all this extra strain as the wheel would bend out and then tear apart the end of the A-arm here where that holds that pin. And then a couple of times what happened is, as that would happen, the dog bone would kind of get caught up inside of, I don't know, whatever, get jammed up on the tie rod or the spring or halfway in and out of the outdrive cup here and bend the dog bone or break them. And so I think that that was caused by just all the mishap going on this brake as it's occurring, you know, coming down off a landing at 25 to 35 miles per hour, whatever the speed is in a jump. I know it's not top speed when you're landing, but you get the gist. So the other thing I broke in the rear, and usually this would happen on like a backflip or just kind of like an all rear landing, is the toe blocks right here that hold the inner pins. The toe block here would snap, but I broke maybe 3 or 4 of them, and I just kept using the other sizes that came with the truck because I don't really care about the tuning of it. I would just use the wider ones and the narrow ones just to change for changing the tuning to give you toe in on the rear tires, but it doesn't matter to me. The other thing is, I know a lot of guys, like I broke the inner hinge pins on the front on the MT4. I never had an issue with this thing on any of that, but I did break the little bushings that capture the pin that stick kind of out of this suspension plate. And I copied a guy on URC, his name's Chainsaw 10, he just doubled up this plate. So I did the same thing, and this is actually the one for an MT4, it fits here too, and I just doubled that up. And it kind of just barely covers up the bushing there, so it doesn't get any direct hits, or just kind of takes some of the load and strain and protects it a little bit. So that's just a couple little issues. So that issue there is common to the MT4 and this kit. The toe block, I don't think I ever broke a toe block on the MT4. And the other thing is when you go this route, you're kind of stuck getting, you know, you can't really fit the bigger like trencher and MT4 and the stuff for like the Summit and the E-Max, T-Max, Savage type wheels and tires. You can't get out far enough in the body for clearance. So you kind of have to go with this truggy style or something with really good offset, like, you know, something that brings the hex all the way flush with the wheel on the inside here. So these are Duratrax X-Cons on their Duratrax half-inch offset wheels, and they do fit pretty well with the RC8T hex adapters there that stick it out. So I think you get like half an inch extra on the width on each side plus the offset, so you get just enough extra width to fit like another, you know, monster truck style body. And it works pretty well. It's, you know, it's close, but it's fine. You can see there, it's plenty of clearance. But if you went any taller with the tire, I don't think you would make it. You would get a lot of body rub. So you would be limiting yourself on wheel and tire options by going this route. I think, I don't know why it's more susceptible in some areas. Maybe the geometry of it, because the suspension travel is not as great, so it has more of a chance to like slap down on the back end as it lands because the arms are short. I'm not an engineer or anything, so maybe someone can chime in on reasons why. Maybe I just am crappy at driving this particular kit because of the shorter wheelbase, and it's a little bit trickier to maneuver in the air. So, but regardless of all the issues I had with it, as far as things breaking on this versus the MT4, just the kind of like boxing yourself in to the limitations on the kind of wheels and tires you can run. And you know, they may not offer this body forever because everything's getting bigger, not smaller. You know, most monster trucks now are just getting bigger and bigger. So they tend to keep making longer wheelbase trucks. The Savix, Flux, HP, the T-Max, E-Max, they all have longer wheelbases now. So the bodies tend to go in that route too, obviously. So, you know, I don't know how much longer these kind of body sizes will be available. You could probably put, you know, one of those bodies on. You would just have to do something different with the bumper, or have this back end hang way out in the back, because it's about an inch longer. I guess you could probably get away with it. It would just look a little different. You'd have to probably cut more out of the tail if you wanted to run the wheelie bar, which, you know, is an option too. So those are some choices you have to think about if you want to make it. I would probably not do this again. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with this now. Turn it back into a buggy. I like the buggy. I just prefer driving a monster truck. I've had the MT4, I've had this, I've had 8-scale buggies before, and I just prefer monster trucks, I found out, especially after going the different routes. So I think I would just stick with the MT4 if you want to get a monster truck, personal opinion. Unless you just want to have a fun project and you want to have the versatility going from monster truck to buggy, and just like that versatility in one kit. It'd be a little hard with the MT4 because of the wide A-arms. It would look kind of silly with a buggy body, on my personal opinion. So other than that, I mean, it's the same basic build. It's just got a shorter chassis and shorter A-arms than the MT4. So that's basically my thoughts about this this conversion I did. I also thought about maybe just going back to the 8-scale wheels and tires and putting the regular hex adapters on and maybe doing a short course conversion. I haven't really found a bumper that really would fit on this that would make it into a nice short course bumper. T-Bone Racing has some blanks, but they don't quite match. They have some pre-drill holes here, but something you have to fabricate for the top. Wish they just had like a nice big scoop type bumper with no holes drilled in it, and I can just drill my own holes in the bottom. Because sometimes the holes that are already drilled are so close to the actual holes that are already drilled. I mean, the holes they drilled for the kit that they're made for are so close to the holes that I have to drill for the bottom of this to fit that they'd be kind of right on top of each other. And so I hate to, like, you know, trying to drill that hole and then you be eating into the other hole, and then it just makes it kind of sloppy. So just some little things like that. Also, I bent this rear shock tower a little bit. The shock towers seem to be the best on the MT4 and the weakest on the other kits. So what I did to convert this, obviously, is that the bumper, the wheelie bar, and then the wheels and tires, the RC8T hex adapters. I have this all in my other videos. The front MT4 body posts, the front MT4 shock tower. There's a little bit of grinding I have to do on this to get it to fit. It's not quite direct fit unless I just did something wrong. I'm really hot. It's hot in my garage, and I'm sorry for the sweat. I just got done wrestling with my kids too. So that's basically the conversion I did. And hope this helps you out making a decision if you wanted to go with something like this. And by the way, I said I owned an MT4 for a year, and I liked it so much and regretted selling it so much that I bought another one. So I actually can compare it to the EB4. So on here I have the Spectrum S6010 or 6030, I can't remember, servo. And these are some heat sinks I just had laying around. I'm having a lot of heat issues. It's been pretty hot this summer. But other than that, it's bone stock. As far as things that I've changed, other than I don't like the over tray, what I did is I took an aluminum plate, drilled some holes with countersinks, and tapped the chassis with a 3mm tap, and just sunk some flat head screws into those countersunk holes with a spacer, and then I put some just like weather strip foam on top of aluminum for padding, and I just run these Velcro straps to hold the battery, and I like it a lot better. And now this is my favorite truck. I drive it all the time. I love it. The stock wheels and tires, like everyone's talked about, they're just great overall bashing tires. The truck to me is a blast. And so if that tells you anything, I had this, sold it for personal reasons, wanted another one, so I got the buggy thinking it would be a little less expensive to operate. Didn't like driving a buggy, converted to a monster truck, wasn't still happy enough to where I came back and I bought the MT4. So that's basically my review of that. And I know I never talked about the radio when I originally did the EB4. This is the one that comes with the MT4. It's the same exact radio. It's a little bit of a downgrade from the previous one. Some other people may have talked about it. There's no model memory, even though you can bind multiple receivers to it. Like any 2.4 gigahertz radio, it's just you don't have the memory of all your settings, which isn't that big of a deal. The other thing it has is it has your throttle endpoints, and then it has dual rate for steering. And throttle endpoints are usually reserved for nitro, but I like to use it because I actually use this radio on my Ruckus, and what I do is I turn down the throttle endpoints all the way down, and then I hand the radio to one of my kids, or my camping, my wife was driving around the campsite. And for a more inexperienced user, it just turns down the throttle endpoints, doesn't give them full throttle, slows the truck down a little bit. It's not ideal, but it's great just for a few minutes handing the radio off to someone who doesn't have as much experience driving an RC and you don't want them to break it, running into a curb or a tree. And then just, you can turn it back up and there you go. It's not a permanent solution for slowing a vehicle down, but it's a nice little feature that I use for that reason. So there you go.